actually all the companies I'm involved in, and it's probably many of the people listening in, almost all small business is struggling, yet our vision is profitability. So I sat there one day and I struggled with profitability, saying, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with us? Are we all stupid? No. Entrepreneurs are, in fact, the most driven and often the most educated people I know. What's wrong with us? And I was looking at the formula going, how come I'm not profitable? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my God, it's the formula. Because it makes logical sense. Sales minus expense equals profit. It doesn't make behavioral sense. It's human nature. When something comes last, it's insignificant. Like Terry, I can never imagine you saying, I love my family, my kids so much. That's why I put them last. Yeah. You know, my health matters to me. That's why I don't work out. I put it last. When something's important, it comes first. And so all I did was flip the formula. I said, every time there's sales, I'm going to subtract profit. Take profit first, hide it away from my business, and then my business off the remainder. So profit first, in short, is the pay yourself first principle from personal finance translated to business.
I dig it. And again, this is something that intuitively it makes sense as you're explaining it, but if you go to like through traditional education or just like advice, like you're not told this. So again, that's why it's so important to focus on just personal development and self-education. There's a quote by, I think it's Warren Buffett, that says a formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. So that's why we have your books to help with that. And talk to me more about All In, because that one I'm not as familiar with.
Yeah, it was my brand new book, and what I've been studying is great leadership. Now, the reason I got interested in this is I'm admittedly a meh level leader, and I want to elevate my game. So I'm reading all the leadership books, I'm studying it, and a lot of them repeat the same adages. So I'm like, okay, these are the formulas that we're believing. Then I do the data analysis, because that's my thing. I say, well, how effective is this? One of the common things you'll hear over and over again is you have to have a culture. So I said, okay, I got to build a clear culture here. Let me define this. So I did the data analysis. And what is so interesting is culture builds a myopic tunnel. Culture says, I, the leader, believe in these values and I need other people that have the same values as me. That's our culture. And now I have tunnel vision of people parroting what I say and what I do. And so it's a team of yes men. And therefore I can do no wrong, which is really a dangerous thing, because then we're emboldened to do things that aren't working and we're yesed into the garbage can. So what I found is there's another kind of standard called community. And this is actually how towns and countries and areas form. There is common missions and visions, but everyone comes from it from a different vantage point. There's conflict in communities and stuff, but it makes the community robust. There's diversity in it. People with different religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds. You go up and down the street in my little town here, there's Hispanic bakeries, there's Eastern European bakeries, there's Italian just in the bakery industry. And wow, you can get such an eclectic collection of amazing foods. It's not all the same repeated over and over. Something has a very strong culture, and I'm not bashing it, but it's Walmart. You go to any Walmart, it's the exact same thing. It's a necessary but blah experience. So companies that embrace community, where we have a goal in common, we want to have a great town or whatever it is, but encourages diversity, actually is a stronger organization inevitably. Here's one of the ways to get there. One of the things they say is, well, you got to set a corporate mission. So I said, okay, how important are corporate missions? Do you know that causes statistically more resentment and resistance than anything? Our corporate mission is to increase shareholder value. You know, my colleagues don't get fired up about this. I, in my own business, I used to have a company, we did computer crime investigation. We actually managed part of the Enron trial, the Enron investigation. We did the defense analysis. We weren't the prosecution. That was the FBI and so forth. I came out of my office one day, called my team together. We had 30 colleagues, and I say to everyone, we're going to achieve $10 million in revenue. We're going to take down Kroll. That was my biggest competitor at the time. This is going to be amazing. Let's do this. And my team's like, meh. I'm like, we have a corporate mission. This is so big. And my assistant, Patty, said, Mike, that's your dream. You get the bigger house. You get the new car if we pull this off. What about Rob, who wants to buy his first house? What about Jen, who wants to learn to play guitar? What about our individual dreams? I was like, oh my gosh. My colleagues, your colleagues, Terry, everyone has a vision for themselves. And it's the job of a leader not to set the corporate vision arbitrarily. It's to say, what's our collective vision? What's everyone trying to achieve here? And how do we lock arms in achieving those goals? And when we help each other achieve the goals, now this is not Make-A-Wish Foundation. I don't say, here's your new house, I bought it for you. I just keep it in front of you. The reciprocity kicks in, and the corporate mission, which is honestly serving my ego, there's reciprocity. They say, let's keep moving you forward toward your goal, Mike, because you're moving me toward my goal. That's the collective vision mentality as opposed to the corporate vision mentality.
Yeah, and that's another one of those things from business school that I thought was kind of silly. We spent like too many weeks on that, in my opinion. And again, to your point, it's just like increase shareholder value. Great. That does not help me live a better life as an employee. So I can appreciate that. And your point about like not just trying to find culture fits, but culture adds, that's really how you grow, right?
That's exactly it.
That diversity of opinion, of thought, of background, so on and so forth. So so thank you for flagging that as well. Let's go deeper though, because let's go back to entrepreneurship. You talked about one common mistake that entrepreneurs make, which is paying themselves last. And I'm going to check that off my list going forward. But what is another common pitfall that is easily avoidable, but often committed by entrepreneurs?
So a common pitfall is to fix anything as opposed to the right next thing. So I'll talk to an entrepreneur and say, what are you doing in your business today? What's important? And they'll say, well, social media, we know it's social media, so we're cranking on Facebook. I'll talk to the same person the next day and they'll say, you know what, we need a rainmaker. Everything's abandoned, we're moving toward a rainmaker. And the next day it's like, my God, we're just got to discount stuff. So it's very natural to jump to the next thing. That is the innovator's dilemma, if you will. We are innovators. An entrepreneur, by definition, has to take a risk on something that's not proven and believe it emphatically enough where they commit to it. But that energy wanes very quickly. So we're making all these new commitments. So the most appropriate thing is to determine what to do next. And I believe actually our intuition and gut does not help us here. If you and I were walking down the street together and we go down this dark alley and you're like, all of a sudden like, something's wrong here, we're trusting that intuition. You and I are getting out of there because intuition is a form of human preservation. Our senses, sight, smell, touch, indicate something's wrong and this message comes through, escape, fight, leave. But we're not wired into our business like we are ourselves. We don't have eyes in our business. We don't have smell or touch inside our business, except we have data, and data can show the truth. So intuition is great in human experiences, but not necessarily in business interactivity. I think we're actually too dependent upon intuition. In the beginning, when we don't have data, when we're a brand new startup, that's the only thing we have. But we got to start analyzing the data. And often data can show trends. So get really tied into your numbers. And in the olden days, you just sit through spreadsheets and hire a coach that was an expert. Now, just dump everything into AI and you'll get a much better sense of what's working in your business and what's not. And then you can follow a real simple principle. If something is working, amplify it. If something's not working, fix it or abandon it. It's that simple. And so when it comes to like that sales situation where we need a rainmaker or is it Facebook ads, crunch the data and see, do you have something that's working now? Oh, when we have lunch meetings with customers, they actually do more business with us. We'll get really good at those lunch meetings. Don't worry about those Facebook ads just yet because that's something new. Or if you try something out new, run the data and see, is there any indication this is working properly or not? And keep on iterating until you get traction. A lot of entrepreneurs don't do that. We just say, my gut says, and then we jump on that.
Yeah, it's like the shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, here's this thing. And Chase is like, hey, how about you get really good at one thing that you know is going to work first, and then go explore. But yeah, I see that happen a lot, especially with all the tools that are available these days. And I want to dig deeper into data and how sometimes the perception of data or accumulating data can be incorrect. So in Malcolm Gladwell's book, was it Outliers? He had like that 10,000 hour rule that he talked about. He didn't invent it, but he talked about it. And the misinterpretation was, hey, if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you'll be an expert, which is clearly incorrect. It's 10,000 hours of intentional practice, not just, like trying Facebook ads. So you've written several influential books as well. And I'm wondering, is there anything that you've written that might have been misinterpreted by your audience that you'd like to correct now as well?
Yeah, for sure. So one of my books is called Surge, and it's been my biggest flop, if you will, of books, which is disappointing because it's like, oh, why is it not working? I thought it was a good book or at least a good concept. And so what the lesson is most businesses will try to market to a new audience through education. I have this great product and this is why it's great. And they try to lean into it. What I identified in Surge is the best marketing momentum happens from what's called ripple effects or wave patterns. A new innovation comes about, a cyber truck, which is this crazy, weird automatic truck. And Tesla says it has bulletproof windows and so forth. And so this splash has now happened of something weird, and it's got the global attention of people. Well, that's going to trigger an interest in bulletproof windows. Why not leverage being a bulletproof window manufacturer? Or what do you have that you already offer that can speak to this new form of self-protection? So there's a natural wave that's happened because of another effect. It's like the butterfly effect. Yeah. Someone flapped its wings here and a tornado's happening over there. So instead of trying to educate people of why you have a profound idea or something that serves them, instead grasp a ripple that's going through the economy, or there's a great awareness, and how do you get in front of this wave? Now you start surfing the momentum, you catch the surge. So people heard it as, you guys market uniquely, you got to cause the ripple, and that was not the intention. You have to capture the wave that's already coming through, because there's energy behind it.
I'm gonna go buy that book too, Mike. You're gonna get
Dude, I made $1. I made $1.
There you go. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, because often the problem with entrepreneurs is you're trying to get some kind of proof of concept. And if you already have third-party validation, this wave is already sweeping the nation, the world, or whatever. Here's how my product or service is a part of it. Then that validation is there, right? So I think it makes it a lot easier, and you can kind of piggyback off that success. But I'm gonna give you another hard question here. So hopefully that one warmed you up a little bit.
Okay.
Hypothetical situation: if you had to start a business today with just $1,000, what would you do and why?
Okay, so here's my hypothetical response. I would take $999 and I'd store it in a bank and lock it up so I can't access it. Okay. Because the difference between $1 and $1,000 in today's economy is nothing. Plus, I want to prove profitability on concept. I call it sell the tell. I need that $1 just so I can send out the email perhaps, or just to have a lucky dollar in my pocket. But what I do is, instead of trying to create a product or something for $1,000 and seeing if someone buys it, I just sell the story. So I'll go to community people. Maybe I don't even have a single list. I just go to a meeting and say, hey, I have this idea. Let me put out this crazy idea, and I give them the bullet points. At the end of that explanation idea, I believe never trust people's words, but always trust their wallets. Many people will say, I have this idea, who's interested? And people say, totally, it's such a good idea. I would totally buy that, the hypothetical. Instead, I would say, here's my idea. Right now, who's willing to give me their credit card to put down a 20% deposit? And that's where the truth comes out. When people are like, well, I have a kid's soccer game I have to go to now, and they run away. So I would sell the tell. If I can get deposits, it's like a Kickstarter campaign of my own. Now I know there's actual interest and people are backing it with action. And then I'd use the $990 left to actually create this concept with the deposits I've received.
That was a good answer. All right. Okay. No. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, because so often we have this idea and we're almost like we're holding it close to chest before we release it. There's been no feedback. There's no proof of concept.
Correct.
So if you can say, hey, look, here's this thing I have. It's not available yet, but as an early supporter, if you put down this deposit, then you get some kind of discount or some kind of exclusive benefit. Like, I think that sometimes takes more courage than going through the whole process and saying, okay, I did everything right. Let's see what happens. Like, that's stopping to actually validate your idea and see if there actually is a product market fit. Like, that feels more dangerous, because you're like, oh shoot, I can't just talk about this anymore. I actually have to do it.
And yeah, you get critical feedback, and it's painful when people aren't interested. But in the long term, you're grateful, because could you imagine spending all that money and then it's a dud? That's the ultimate burn, and you have no resources left. So get the interest before you make the spend.
Yeah. So Mike, I know you're a busy guy. I'm going to ask you one more. I'm not saying going to say it's a tough question, but it's going to make you say when it comes to AI, what is one thing that you're afraid of, and what is one thing that you're excited about? I'm picking to end on excitement, because I don't want this to be a downer. So one thing you're afraid of, one thing you're excited about.
One thing I'm afraid of is how easy it is to fake people out and scam. I'm trying to prepare my mother, who's an elderly person now. Yeah. I'm saying, the moment's coming, you're gonna get a phone call. It's gonna be my voice saying, hey mom, how are you? I need some money. Maybe as we're doing this podcast, I'm gonna just rip my voice specifically for that purpose. And it's the ultimate sin, because it feels so real. And I think that's the future of scamming. And it's such a sinister thing. And I wish those people that have the intelligence to do that would do it for good and build a remarkable business that serves humanity as opposed to hurts humanity. But the upside is it's also the great equalizer. Like, itty bitty business person can have a real shot against massive Fortune 100 company. And if whoever has the better idea and cares for the customer more legitimately gets to win, it's going to be harder, at least for a period of time for the big money individuals to win by buying the customer. AI is going to be the equalizer for a period of time before, just like the internet was an equalizer for a while, everyone could have a website before it diverged again. There's a period of time that the little guy's got a shot again to compete with the big guy, and we got to jump on it.
Yeah. I agree. So, Mike, I'm going to let you go. Right after we hop off, I'm going to call my mom. But after that, how can
Mike
we learn?
asked for money, Mom. Don't give it to him.
Yeah. This is going to be proof of that proof of concept. So, after that, where can we learn more about you, so we can continue just learning from you?
Oh, thanks. I'll give you the hack. So, it's MikeMichalowicz.com, but no one can spell it. So, I bought the domain MikeMotorbike.com, as in the motorcycle. When I was in grade school, that was one of my nicknames. It was the only PG nickname. I have some other ones that are not suitable for the air. And but if you go to MikeMotorbike.com, I used to write for the Wall Street Journal. You can get all those articles for free, or you can buy them from the Wall Street Journal. My books, you can get free downloads. I also have a podcast there, MikeMotorbike.com.
Awesome. Mike, thank you for this. Mike Motorbike, I appreciate this. And thank you very much for hopping on.
Thanks, brother.